Let's be blunt. Some fish are out here pretending to be healthy while quietly wrecking your brain, your heart, and your long-term health, especially after 60. And the worst part? Most seniors have no idea they're eating some of the most toxic fish on the planet. So before you take another bite of that healthy fish dinner, listen closely. Because the 4 fish we're talking about today are the ones experts warn older adults to avoid, yet they still end up on dinner plates every single week. This isn't fear-mongering, this is self-defense. If you want a sharper mind, a stronger heart, and a longer, cleaner future, this might be the most important food warning you hear this year. All right, deep breath. Let's talk about the fish that are slowly chipping away at your health and what to eat instead. Let's take a breath, settle in, and start with a simple truth. Once you hit your 60s and 70s, your body handles toxins differently. Not worse, just differently. Your liver doesn't clear chemicals as quickly. Your kidneys filter a little slower. Your brain becomes more sensitive to inflammation. And your heart? It appreciates every bit of protection you can offer. So avoiding certain fish isn't being dramatic. It's being strategic. It's choosing your health with intention. The first fish older adults should steer clear of is king mackerel. Now, not all mackerel is bad. Atlantic mackerel is actually excellent. But king mackerel is a whole different story. It's one of the highest mercury fish in the ocean. Mercury is a neurotoxin, meaning it loves to bother your brain cells, your memory, your coordination, even your energy levels. And the kicker? Mercury builds up over time. It doesn't politely leave your body after dinner, so every serving stacks on top of the last. If you're over 60 and already noticing changes in thinking speed, focus, or balance, king mackerel is the last thing you need adding extra pressure. Next is tilefish, one of the most misleadingly fancy-sounding fish you'll ever hear about. Tilefish sounds harmless, almost elegant, but it's one of the most toxic fish you can put on your plate. And here's the wild part. Most people eat it without even realizing it. Tilefish from the Gulf of Mexico carries extremely high mercury levels, so high that health agencies specifically tell older adults to avoid it completely. The real problem is that tilefish doesn't always appear under its real name. In some restaurants or suppliers, it may be served as golden bass, white snapper, goldfish, ocean whitefish, or even amidai. These names make it sound clean and safe, but they're nothing more than disguises. Tilefish often ends up in budget seafood restaurants, lower-cost grocery store seafood counters, and anywhere that relies heavily on bulk imported fish. It's also commonly slipped into mixed fish stews, fish tacos, vague market fish specials, and large-scale catering menus where the exact fish type is conveniently left unlisted. Most people eating it have absolutely no idea what they're actually getting. For seniors, the impact is real and potentially serious. Mercury disrupts memory, balance, nerve function, heart rhythm, and can interfere with medications like blood pressure tablets, thyroid medication, and antidepressants. Combine that with the body's slower detox systems after 60, and tilefish becomes a silent health risk that shows no warning signs until the damage is already underway. The bottom line is simple. If the fish name feels vague, suspicious, or too cheap to be believable, skip it. There are far safer options available, and tilefish is never worth the risk. Then there's shark. Now, I know you're probably not sitting at home throwing shark steaks on a frying pan every weekend, but shark sneaks onto menus more often than you'd think. Sometimes it's labeled as rock salmon. Sometimes it's just shark steak. And because sharks live long lives, they absorb toxins for decades before anyone eats them. Long life equals long exposure. And that means a single shark portion can hit you with heavy metals in one sitting. For an aging brain, aging nerves, and an aging heart, that's a hard no. Now let's talk about the one that surprises almost everyone. Farmed salmon. This is the fish most people assume is healthy, heart-friendly, and good for the brain. And wild salmon absolutely is. But farmed salmon is a completely different creature, and once you understand how it's raised, you'll understand why it's a problem, especially for older adults. Farmed salmon is usually raised in huge offshore pens in places like Norway, Chile, Scotland, and Canada. These pens are overcrowded, meaning the fish just swim in confined spaces filled with waste, uneaten feed, and parasites. To keep disease under control, farms often rely on antibiotics, pesticides, and chemical treatments that leave residues behind. The salmon are fed processed pellets made from fish meal, soy, grain, oils, and additives, not the natural marine diet wild salmon thrive on. Because this diet doesn't produce the bright orange-pink color we expect, farms add synthetic pigments to make the flesh look appealing. It looks like salmon, but it doesn't live like salmon. The result is a fish with higher levels of contaminants like PCBs, dioxins, microplastics, and antibiotic residues. These compounds build up in fatty tissue, and farm salmon has a lot more fat than wild salmon. For seniors, this matters because PCBs and similar toxins linger in the body longer when detox systems slow down with age. They can influence hormones, immunity, inflammation, and even long-term cancer risk. So how do you know if a restaurant is serving farm salmon? Most of the time, if a menu just says salmon with no mention of wild, you should assume it's farmed. Wild salmon is expensive, seasonal, and proudly labeled. Restaurants will almost always specify wild caught, wild Alaskan, sockeye, or coho if that's what they're serving. If the salmon looks unusually fatty, very pale, or perfectly uniform in color from top to bottom, it's almost certainly farmed. Wild salmon has natural color variation and a firmer texture. You can always ask your server directly. If they don't know, or if the answer feels vague, it's nearly always farmed. Now, how much is actually harmful? Research suggests that eating farmed salmon weekly exposes people to enough PCBs to raise long-term health risks, especially for older adults. Occasional farmed salmon, once every few months, is unlikely to cause harm. But regular intake, such as weekly or bi-weekly portions, creates a steady buildup of contaminants that the body struggles to process. For seniors, this buildup can influence heart health, cognitive function, inflammation, and immune resilience. If you want the benefits salmon is famous for, the omega-3s, the brain support, the heart protection, wild salmon is the only version that truly delivers. Wild salmon isn't just healthier, it lives a life that produces clean, natural nutrition. Farm salmon, no matter how it's marketed, simply cannot compete. Farm simply doesn't deliver what you think it does. Now, why do these toxins hit older adults harder? It's simple biology. With age, our detox systems slow down. Our cells become more sensitive. Our organs work harder to keep everything in balance. So while younger people might shrug off the occasional toxic meal, seniors feel the effects sooner and more deeply. It's not about weakness, it's about physiology. The good news? You don't need to stop eating fish. You just need to choose the right ones. There are safer, cleaner, nutrient-rich fish that genuinely support senior health. Wild salmon, sardines, anchovies, herring, trout. These are low mercury, high omega-3, and fantastic for your brain and your heart. And here's the uplifting part. Your body responds at any age, even at 70, 80, or beyond. Choosing cleaner fish can sharpen your thinking, support heart health, reduce inflammation, and lift your energy. Better choices don't just add years to your life. They add clarity, stability, and strength to the years you already have. You don't need dramatic changes. You just need awareness. You just need to know which fish are working for you and which ones are quietly working against you. So if you remember nothing else from today, remember this. Protecting your health isn't always about adding new habits. Sometimes it's about simply avoiding the things that chip away at your well-being. Skip the king mackerel, leave the tilefish, pass on the shark, and think twice, or 3 times, about farmed salmon. You've worked hard to reach this stage of life. You deserve food that supports you, nourishes you, and protects you, not food that undermines your future. You've earned the right to eat in a way that protects your future, not jeopardizes it. And if this opened your eyes even a little, don't just let the information fade. Use it, share it, act on it, and stay with us here at Timekeepers. Because the truth is, no one is out here fighting for the health of older adults the way we are. We talk about the stuff doctors rush through, the stuff ads don't mention, and the stuff families wish they'd known sooner. If you want sharper thinking, stronger days, and a longer, cleaner future, make sure you're with us for the next video. We're just getting started.